from your breaking news and weather authority. This is 13 Wham News at 11.
And we will not let anyone from outside of our community come in and incite violence here in our city.
It began with a peaceful gathering today in Rochester's Martin Luther King Park in the spirit of Frederick Douglass, a concern over racism being expressed nationwide. And like others nationwide, it changed as the crowd began to move.
What we've seen occur downtown and then move towards the city public safety building was something that transformed and it was hijacked by people that do not believe in our community.
What you saw here today was not a protest. This was chaos, pure chaos, not a protest. What happened today was sparked by anarchists.
Police cars attacked, stores looted, and a unified response.
And we will not allow those who come into this community and wish to do it harm to take over the county and city streets and endanger our residents and their property.
And with that, tonight, Monroe County under a state of emergency, a curfew in effect until 7 a.m. Good evening. I'm Don Alhart.
And I'm Ginny Ryan. Despite that curfew and state of emergency, we have many reports of people on the streets and looting taking place. We have team coverage tonight.
And we're going to begin with Tyler Brown. Tyler.
Well, Don, the protest first started at Martin Luther King Park. It then led over here to the public safety building where a lot of protesters were confronting police officers right in front of the doors there. Then as soon as that happened, the crowd started getting smaller. Another crowd started coming in, and that's when things turned a bit chaotic here, as you can see. Take a look right behind me. This was what happened. This was the cause of when police started using brutal force and started pushing people back further into this parking lot. You see a lot of cars here are damaged either by being broken into or by fire. Let me show you some of the video that happened earlier today when these cars were lit on fire. There were about 5-6 cars here, some upside down, some broken into before being lit on fire. There was even a ginormous trailer that was in the back of the was also lit on fire. This was probably the beginning of what ended up being a very, very violent night here in the city of Rochester. People were watching in awe. Protesters, demonstrators, including the ones that didn't want things to turn violent, were just watching as they saw lots of different cars go up in flames. And something else I want to show you, if we could go back out live. This is the Court Exchange building. You can see these offices here are now boarded up. That's because people were throwing bricks into these windows, breaking down the doors, looting some of the offices on the inside. A lot of damage still needed to be cleaned up, and a lot of people, protesters I spoke with earlier, told me that some who didn't even want this to turn violent was saying this is just a physical representation of the anger that they are experiencing with police brutality. But again, a lot of people say they did not want it to be this way. Live in Rochester, Tyler Brown, 13 Wham News.
All right. Hey, thank you, Tyler.
And that building is the State Attorney General's office building in Rochester. Dan Schreck now live at the Liberty Pole where there was looting in that area tonight. Dan?
Ginny, there certainly was. The scene looking much different right now than it did only hours ago and earlier today when people, looters, broke into the villa right here on Main and looted that store. Again, this scene looks much different, but off in the distance you can hear police sirens echoing out, and that's just a sign to let you know that looting is happening elsewhere in the city tonight. There is still a large police presence in the downtown area right here at the Liberty Pole, just not parked where they initially were. This is a site they were using to start as dispatch, where they were sending out officers to other sections of the city. Again, things looking much different. This roadway, Main Street, has reopened. However, you can see down here at the intersection of Franklin, that is still closed. Still very active. Lots of people still walking by. That curfew in place at 9 o'clock tonight. Doug, Jenny.
All right. Thank you, Dan. A photographer witnessed a terrifying scene on Monroe Avenue tonight outside Rochester Fire Equipment.
Yeah, he said the store's owners tried to reason with a group of people looting and was attacked.
And there was a woman that was out there, and she was trying to talk to people, and all of a sudden they just started beating her up. They started punching her in the face. They had 2x4s, and they just started beating her up. I've never seen anything like this. It was probably the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. And they just went at her and just started beating on her. And then her husband came out, and he was trying to protect her. He had a golf club, and he was trying to protect both of them. He couldn't do it, and both of the group of people just started beating her.
Terrifying scene tonight. That photographer and witness was very shaken when I spoke to him. He says one of the victims was taken away in an ambulance. The husband looked like he had a wrist injury. This man is an Iraq war veteran and said he had never seen anything like it in the United States.
Yeah. There is still some violence and looting going on at this hour. We're going to get to Tanner Jubenville as soon as we can. Jane Chaco, though, is standing by now downtown with more on the situation there. Jane?
Earlier today, protesters started here at Washington Square Park with a peaceful protest in solidarity with Minneapolis. Again, this protest has all started very peaceful, and the message being about justice for all and Black Lives Matter. People sang songs, played instruments, and chanted together, marching down Court Street. Many wore their masks and held signs saying, "I can't breathe," in honor of George Floyd. Families brought their children and people brought their dogs to walk, and the march was very peaceful and everything was under control, and many protesters described the rally as moving. The rally ended at the Public Safety Building, and many people walked away from the scene when chaos erupted, cars set on fire. And as the scene is quiet here right now at where it all started, we know things took a turn for the rest of the night. Live in Washington Square Park, Jane Chaco, 13 WHAM News.
And took a turn in various areas as well. You see Andrew Banis, I hope he can hear us right now as he turns around. He's out in Greece. It looks like some activity behind you, Andrew.
Yeah, Don and Jenny, I actually want to take a step aside and just show you a SWAT truck has just pulled up on scene here at the mall at Greece Ridge. I'm told that a short time ago, there actually were some looters that tried to break in to the JCPenney side of the mall. An officer on scene says they ran away, but now they have officers at every single entrance. They're going to guard this throughout the night. Their fear is that those looters from the city will make their way out here. And as you can see now, they even have brought in the Greece SWAT team. They're prepared for anything here, and an officer on scene says he will not feel safe knowing that no looters will be making their way here at least until morning, and that is why I'm told at least a dozen or so cars will remain on scene throughout the duration of the night. For now, reporting live in Greece, Andrew Banis, 13 WHAM News.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew brought up a good point. I mean, they're standing guard at the mall tonight. This is a scene being played out in Irondequoit as well. The town supervisor there told all the businesses on East Ridge Road to shut down because they also had reports of looters being in the area, and a similar scene on West Ridge Road near the mall as well.
And we've seen this, I think, from the police agencies planning for any possibility here. They're really trying to take preemptive strikes, trying to make sure this doesn't continue into the rest of the weekend. I know there is some activity as well. Tanner Jubenville is standing by. We're having a little trouble getting his signal, but as soon as we get to him, I mean, this is some of the problems that are still ongoing.
Yeah, we have Tanner. And just to keep in mind, this is 2 hours into a curfew, and that is not being abided by. Tanner, it sounds like you really were witnessing a harrowing situation earlier. Where are you, and what are you seeing?
Well, currently right now we are on Norton and near the intersection of Norton and Portland Avenue. This is a Family Dollar here behind me. Police actually just arrived. We got here actually just before they did. We could see people running in and out of the, they broke the glass in the front, running in and out of the store, carrying items out of the store. Same with a liquor store just around the corner from here, windows smashed in. It's been the story throughout much of the city tonight. Earlier on Lake Avenue, the Renner Center was actually on fire. Rochester Fire were there along with police. It was heavily damaged, people running all over, it seemed like, with merchandise. And a similar story, we were over on West Main Street earlier. We were right behind police as they rolled up. People stealing from what looked like a hair and beauty supply store. Saw 5 patrol cars roll up at the same exact time. I actually watched an officer tackle a woman. They both fell into a window. But this has been a very common scene throughout much of the city tonight. Lots of broken windows, lots of food and other merchandise laying on the ground outside of stores, and still lots of people out on the streets tonight, lots of traffic as well. So certainly police very, very busy. They are, just as I mentioned, got here to this Family Dollar and are all over parts of the city responding to what appears to be looters. We will be out here as well, keeping a safe distance, and we will continue to update you as we know more. Live in Rochester, Tanner Jubinville, 13 WHAM News.
Quite a scene there, and police obviously getting help from other police agencies, state police and outlying towns. They've got quite a job on their hands.
Yeah, we're getting reports too. Joseph Avenue police begging, asked for more police there. So I think we're going to see this probably for some time. Just spotty looting taking place. That large, big group seems to have dissipated, but now in smaller groups, they're tough to track down.
Yeah, and the word out from police: stay inside and be safe. We'll be back in a moment. The message from Rochester's mayor tonight following the violence.
And we'll continue our live reports from the city of Rochester, our team coverage, when we come back. We are back. The mayor standing strong today with the police chief, the county executive, the sheriff. This happened in the city, but we saw a very unified response throughout law enforcement and government officials today.
And many of them were at that protest this morning, that very peaceful protest that started all of this. Doug Embledge is in the newsroom now to tell us what the mayor's message was tonight. Doug?
Well, she made it very clear at the very beginning, Ginny and Don, just how what she was witnessing in our city was making her feel.
Hurt, angry, frustrated, disappointed, and yes, even afraid. But I still take responsibility for the change that is necessary to ensure that everyone, black, brown, and white, can live in a more just community in society. I call on every town, village, and suburb, the people of Gates, Irondequoit, Fairport, Henrietta, Greece, and yes, the people of the city of Rochester, to stand with us.
The mayor echoed police leaders in blaming outsiders for inciting the violence today.
Unfortunately, after this group of people left, outsiders, and I do mean outsiders, not from our city, not from our community, decided to set police cars on fire. Their actions set other events into motion and effectively overshadowed the meaningful moment that the organizers of today's earlier event worked collectively to create.
I want to start by saying earlier this afternoon, as the mayor described what the rally and the gathering was like at Martin Luther King Park, I was there and I attended this peaceful rally. And what I saw there was a community coming together to talk about solutions. But unfortunately, that peaceful display of love and support for George Floyd and all those who died before him has become chaotic, violent, and unruly. What we are seeing tonight in the last several hours is not what we saw as a community coming together earlier.
The mayor announced a curfew that began at 9 tonight in the hope that the violence would not escalate and spread.
It starts right here, in the place that Frederick Douglass walked, in the freedom that he fought hard to bring about with other abolitionists. They did it together, and we will do it together. Together, we will protect our circles and protect our city. May God bless Rochester and our entire community. We are better than this, and we will do better by working together, collectively, as a community. Our children deserve to see a city and a county joining hands, lifting each other up, and not tearing each other down.
Police leaders were there with the mayor today, the Rochester police chief, the sheriff, and the major in charge of state police in the region, all saying that while they condemn the actions of that officer in Minneapolis, they believe the violence tonight is taking focus away from the message of today's peaceful demonstration at Martin Luther King Park.
All right, thank you, Doug. Tyler Brown is standing by. He has been really covering this, Jenny, since the beginning of this afternoon.
And Tyler, if you could talk to us about how you saw the tone of this protest change really right before your eyes. The peaceful protesters kind of supplanted by...
Yeah, Jenny, so when we first got to the protest that started on Martin Luther King Park, it was a lot of people, hundreds of people of all different races, ethnicities, and age ranges, and they all marched from that park over here into the public safety building where they were confronting police officers. They demonstrated for about a couple of hours. Then things started to settle down. The group started to get smaller and smaller, but they were still saying they wanted to protest for about 15-20 more minutes. That was when we started to see another huge group of people start to walk down the street, and things started to get violent. We were hearing protesters that were there originally saying, "Get off of the police cars." They were saying, "Get down, we want this to be peaceful," but they would not let up. That was when police had to use brute force and had to use tear gas and flashbangs and things like that to move people over to this parking lot here, where you can see there's still a lot of damage here. A lot needed to be cleaned up, including the fact that cars were set on fire, the fact that cars were flipped over and were looted, and even a trailer was caught on fire. And of course, right now, police are in cleanup mode, and they are still working to get everything underway and situated. But yeah, this was a very, very chaotic scene here early today. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Tyler, and thanks for all your work out there all day.
Coming up next, meteorologist Mark McLean with the forecast.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Just a quick look at your weather here this evening and carry into tomorrow's forecast. Low 50s out there, and you felt that refreshing change out there today compared to what we had the last 6 or 7 days. We've got 51 in Rochester, but 48 in Warsaw and areas south of Rochester. Probably will drop into the low 40s late tonight. Now, the showers that we had earlier, they're out of the picture. A lot of that carrying out into eastern New York, northern New England right now. That's where the cold front is heading off to. And our next weather maker is going to be a quiet visitor. How about that? It's high pressure. It's coming in from the northwest, and that's going to give us some patchy clouds on Sunday night, and also Monday. So if you're looking for some dry weather, we have that in the forecast. There's some rain showers off to the west of Rochester late Monday night and into Tuesday. So hour by hour forecast tonight, partly cloudy. We'll drop into the mid 40s near Rochester. That's where we'll wake up tomorrow morning. Spring fresh air. Sunrise at 5:33, and by the afternoon, high temperature in the upper 50s to near 60. That's chilly for this time of the year. And the 7-day forecast, check it out. Yeah, the dry weather continues Monday. Some morning showers Tuesday, 70. Could get a clap of thunder on Wednesday, mid 70s, and you see the 70s continue towards Saturday. Don and Jenny?
All right, thank you. We're going to continue our live coverage right now. Dan Schrack has actually moved locations to a scene of some looting.
Yeah, he's in the 800 block of North Goodman. Looks like a plaza. Some of the stores behind you there, Dan. What's going on now?
Yeah, Don, this is actually the Save-A-Lot Plaza, the shopping center. If you can see right behind me, Broadway Outlet here, shoe store is completely cleaned out. There is nothing left on the shelves. There are actually sneakers scattered throughout the parking lot. I've got a half a pair of Air Jordans sitting over here on the grass. You've got UGG boots in the parking lot. The store is in a shambles at this point in time. The alarm going off down the street here, that's happening at a check cashing place. That storefront has been destroyed. Don't know if anything, I'm going to get out of the way here. Don't know if anything was stolen from that check cashing place. Also in this plaza is a Walmart right here. The front door on that, or Walmart, excuse me. It's a Walgreens. The front Walgreens. The front door on that Walgreens has been kicked in. No word if anything has been stolen from there. But again, real chaos in this part of the city. One police officer right now manning this area. Still lots of people out and about. As you can see, curfew in place for a reason at 9 o'clock. Don, Jenny?
Yeah, Dan, can you give us a sense of how many stores are impacted there? And we just really want you to be safe right now. If you turn around, just be aware of your surroundings.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Thank you. So it looks like 1, 2 to 3 stores in this vicinity look to be impacted in this plaza. There are a number of vacant shops in this plaza, but it appears that it's just Broadway Outlet, the check cashing place, and Walgreens here in this plaza.
Oh, what a scene there, and one police officer right now manning the whole area.
And Dan, did you get any sense how long ago?
It certainly is.
Any time frame for you're there now? Any indication from the officers or anyone how long ago this took place?
You know what, Don, I did not even speak with officers when we got here. We immediately dialed in. I have not had a chance to check in with officers, but by the looks of it, it has been a while. There's still a number of people walking through this area, checking out the scene.
All right, Dan, well, please stay safe. It's a developing situation, and we'll continue to stay in touch with you tonight.
And more of our continuing team coverage when we come back. All right, our breaking news continues. A lot going on since the peaceful demonstration in Martin Luther King Park turned violent this afternoon.
Yeah, among the things happening at this hour in Rochester is looting. Tanner Jubinville is live on the scene, Portland Avenue. You actually witnessed some of this without police around.
Jenny, about half an hour ago, we heard some reports of possible looting in this area. We showed up. We could see people running in and out of broken windows from the Family Dollar here behind me before police even arrived on the scene. They are still here now. Lots of broken windows, and even the Bank of America has shattered windows. The liquor store just around the corner from us also shattered. We could see people running in and out of that as well. It's been a very common case among places like Family Dollars and other pharmacies around this area tonight. Lots of people running through open, broken windows with merchandise. We saw it earlier on West Main Street with a salon, a barber, hair care type place. Actually saw a cop actually have to tackle somebody who was running from that scene. They fell through a window. We also saw it up earlier tonight on Lake Avenue near Driving Park. There was a Rent-A-Center that looked pretty well destroyed. I mean, it was on fire. There were the Rochester police on scene with state police. They were trying to put out a fire there earlier. As I mentioned, it's been a very common sight, unfortunately, throughout much of the city. But as I mentioned, police here now at the scene of this Family Dollar on Norton Street and Portland Avenue. We'll continue to monitor this area as well. Hopefully the reports seem to quiet down here, but still a lot of traffic out here, still a lot of people out after curfew, about 2.5 hours after that curfew went into effect. We'll, of course, continue to bring you the latest from a safe distance. For now, we are live in Rochester. Tanner Jubinville, 13 WHAM News.
You say from a safe distance, we've been trying to socially distance. Our studio has been set up differently during the pandemic. When breaking news happens, we're kind of shifting as we can here.
We're trying to figure all this out tonight. There's so many questions really still to be answered as far as arrests, injuries, the exact damage in the city. How this plays out tomorrow is going to be key. That curfew in effect until 7 a.m., a state of emergency, Monroe County wide. We're going to continue to stay on this story. What began as peaceful protests in Martin Luther King Jr. Park today turned violent, and outsiders are being blamed for that violence.
And that seems to be the one theme that they kept bringing up today. This was not the group that started this demonstration. It was those that infiltrated, anarchists, according to the sheriff and others, that'll be responsible. What happens tomorrow, whether there's another demonstration or any means to bring people together, it'll be very, very carefully watched. And of course, we'll be there to watch it with you.
Yeah, stay safe, stay indoors, and give thanks to police officers in your community tonight. They did yeoman's work. And we want to thank our team of reporters, videographers, producers who gathered content for this newscast in some very trying and difficult circumstances.
From your breaking news and weather authority on Fox Rochester, this is 13 Wham News at 10.
Tonight, our community on edge. Businesses boarded up, bracing for the possibility of more violence.
Our people jumped on board and fell for the bait. And I'm asking you tonight, let's not do that.
Rochester's mayor urging calm after a night of destructive vandalism and looting after a peaceful Black Lives Matter protest.
What occurred yesterday was organized. These people were what we call law enforcement professional protesters.
Plus, innocent bystanders brutally attacked. Police urging the public to help track down those suspects. Also, a warning for anyone who took part in this weekend's chaos.
We have a lot of video. We have a lot of license plates numbers and other things like that. And so don't rest at home thinking that you got away with this, because you didn't.
The work goes on tonight. Good evening. I'm Ginny Ryan. A curfew is now in effect for a second night in the city of Rochester and all of Monroe County. Businesses have been boarding up, preparing for what might happen as 200 state police troopers have been deployed in our community to help out. We have team coverage beginning with 13 Wham's Dan Schrack.
Hey there, Jenny. We have been driving around for the past few hours, really keeping our eyes on the roads and on the streets to see how many people are heeding that warning, that 9 p.m. curfew. Going to give you a look at what we're seeing right now. Right now we are on Norton. We're getting close to RGH, Norton and Goodman, the intersection we're going through right as we speak. As I said, that curfew went into effect since 9 o'clock, and really the amount of people we're seeing out and about really varies by neighborhood. This morning, County Executive Adam Bello said that the state would be sending 200 additional troopers to the county. About a quarter of them, 58 to be exact, would be coming to the city of Rochester. Bello also imposed this second curfew. Both of these measures were taken in the hopes of keeping community members safe.
I'm asking for people throughout the county and the city of Rochester to please do their part to keep our community safe by staying home tonight, and that is how we can help our first responders do the job that they are out there doing.
So please stay home. There's a curfew in effect tonight. We will enforce that curfew. Please stay home. Allow us to take our job and take that resources towards the people that need to be addressed, and that's the people out there intentionally destroying other people's lives and livelihood.
And this curfew remains in effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Again, right now on Norton, things are relatively quiet. Just about 10 minutes ago, we did see 11 state troopers with their lights going, heading this direction. I believe we're headed east on Norton right now. We're going to head that way and see what we can find out. Jenny?
All right, thank you, Dan. That's encouraging news, and we will stay in touch with you throughout this broadcast and coming up at 11. Also tonight, businesses bracing for more possible looting like we saw last night. 13 Wham's Mike Catalana is live now with the latest on that. Mike?
Yeah, Ginny, we talked to many business owners today who felt they may have not been prepared for what went on last night. And when we spoke to them, many of them used the phrase better safe than sorry as they get ready for what is going on tonight. And that includes the people behind me right here on East Avenue at Murphy's Law. John Diamantopoulos saw what happened last night, but thought his business was safe.
Well, last night I thought we were out of the weeds. It was pretty quiet around here, but sometime between 1 and 2 in the morning, we had several windows that were broken.
So tonight, the owner of Murphy's Law says he's ready.
We're not taking any chances tonight. I'm going to have security staff here on hand just to keep an eye on the premise.
It's a tough time for bar owners. The pandemic shut them down, but in an odd way, John says that's a plus for what he has to do tonight.
On the bright side, at least we're not open for business right now. So it would have probably scared away a lot of customers, and it would have been a lot harder to manage the situation as far as how to approach this whole thing.
And tonight, his hope is that he's over-prepared for something that doesn't come.
I hope nothing happens, period. We don't want any problems.
Yeah, Jenny, and I think that is a sentiment shared by many. We mentioned the security they have, and just moments ago you see a police presence happen to stop right here behind me. It is pretty quiet here on the street of East Avenue, and I think that's what a lot of people are hoping for the entire night. For now, reporting live in the city of Rochester, Mike Catalana, 13 WHAM News. Jenny?
All right, thank you, Mike. Tonight, we've got new video from inside Euphoria Liquor Store on East Main Street showing criminals at work last night. That North Winton store has been in the same family for more than 40 years, and the owner says he's never seen anything like what happened last night. About 11 o'clock, thieves broke in and stole more than $20,000 worth of liquor.
It was trashed. They had kicked in the front window. They started just grabbing pints and half pints of liquor off our shelf behind the counter. They went into the back room, started carrying out full cases. That was two separate waves. And watching that video is just it's heart-wrenching seeing these people just rushing through a business that's been in your family for so long.
He says in all, the video shows about 20 people stealing from his store. He and some friends stood guard all night long in case people returned. And tonight he says it's boarded up like Fort Knox. He's hoping someone sees this video. It's a very good shot of that woman right there, recognizes those thieves, and calls police. One of the more disturbing images from last night is that of a young woman and her husband being savagely beaten outside their Rochester apartment. Haunted by that image, we returned to the scene today, and we're not the only ones.
Denise Brooks came from Palmyra with flowers and a card for a woman she'd never met. The woman brutally beaten in this very spot.
It was just heartbreaking. So, I just wanted to do something.
Shelly Gonzalez came to this spot too. She does know the woman beaten. Shelly is her mom.
I'm here today. I drove in from Livingston County this morning because I just want to make sure she's okay.
Moments later, Shelly got the word she'd been desperate to hear. A text from her daughter.
Hey, Mama, sorry, we're doing okay.
And then Shelly got to see it for herself. Daughter Maddie on FaceTime.
I did have a slight concussion. My ears were ringing for a long time afterwards, and I have a huge bruise on the side of me.
Maddie says her husband Brett took the brunt of it, injuring his hand when he tried to save her. Maddie says this began when she tried to stop a group of looters at a store below their apartment.
I was definitely there interrupting, something that they wanted to do. And I jumped up, I said, get out of here, get the out of my house now. And, they came at me. The big one in the orange grabbed my shirt and spun me, and then it all got crazy. That 2x4, man, oh my God, I can't believe how sorry.
Maddie says after she escaped her attackers, 3 other groups returned to the scene, one with a gas can. She and her husband fled in the middle of the night, no longer feeling safe.
Do you have any regrets about jumping in, Maddie?
No, I did what was right by standing up.
I told them you were fierce.
Fierce indeed. Still afraid, though, to return home. Maddie and her husband are recovering tonight at a friend's house. Rochester police are searching for the group of men who terrorized her and the owner of that jewelry store. Tonight, Rochester police are promising there will be more people arrested for the outbreak of violence last night. 13 WHAM's Chris Betts is now live from the Public Safety Building with more on that effort for us. Chris?
Well, Ginny, the protests that started at Martin Luther King Park were organized, they were peaceful, but it's when people started making their way here to the public safety building last night that things turned chaotic. And according to city officials, the people that instigated it were professionals.
They started as peaceful protests. People in Rochester making sure their voices were heard after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis struck more than a nerve for communities of color all across the country. It set off a live wire. But the protests at Martin Luther Park became overshadowed Saturday night with increasingly destructive crowds throughout the city. Crowds Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren says were egged on by so-called outsiders.
These people set a trap, and our community fell in it.
Warren expressing her frustration at those who chose to follow the outsiders, holding up photos of people seen lighting police cars on fire.
These are the individuals that started this in our city. These are the people that should be held accountable, along with those that took the bait and started to loot and destroy the communities all across our city.
Rochester Police Chief Laurent Singletary calling them professional protesters, anarchists.
We will hold people accountable. We will utilize every tool available to us to identify these individuals. We know that there are people in this community who will identify those individuals.
One man who witnessed the protest says he believes many of those who caused the destruction and violence were from here.
They were running down the street. They weren't coming in cars. They didn't get dropped off by anybody.
RPD have arrested 13 people so far. Chief Singletary says more people will be arrested as they investigate.
And the mayor says they'll be using those photos as well as license plate numbers to track down the people responsible. Ginny?
All right, Chris Betts live for us tonight. And now a bright spot. An army of volunteers showed up at Frontier Field this morning, determined to clean up the damage from the night before. More than 2,000 people armed with brooms and garbage bags went out into the neighborhoods.
This is really important, and Rochester is still our home. It's still a really beautiful city, and we just want to get it back to its beautiful self.
There were hundreds packed into that parking lot, ready to do whatever was needed, showing their love of our community. We are also following breaking news around the nation tonight. A terrifying encounter in the epicenter of the violence, a truck careening into a crowd of protesters in Minneapolis. And an update on COVID-19, what the governor announced today and what will open next. And a cool night, but Mark McLean is tracking one day this week that will come close to 80. His forecast for the week ahead is next.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Something that's cloud dependent here tonight in the short term, but the ISS, the International Space Station, flying over at 10:38 this evening, the first time with the new SpaceX crew on it. So a 4-minute pass if these stubborn clouds outside decide to thin out. Now, there is a thin pocket up over Lake Ontario here that's moving in from the northwest, so maybe that gives us just enough chance here in the next half hour to see that. Now, the other thing that's changed, the cool air moved in. Every day last week was in the 80s. And then look what happened here for the weekend. We dropped back to 57. That's after last Tuesday's high of 93 degrees. It's a wardrobe. You dig into the different drawers out there when you have weather like this. 52 degrees, northwest wind at 3. And the dew point temperature tonight is very dry in the lower 30s. Hour by hour tonight, we're going to drop into the 40s. I think we're going to wind up somewhere around 43, 44 degrees late tonight. Neighborhood forecast tomorrow. It's around 50 degrees or so at 8 o'clock. There's still patchy clouds out there. I think we're going to find a temperature in the low to mid 60s around lunchtime and a little deeper into the afternoon there. Should make it into the upper 60s, could come close to 70 if we get a full afternoon of sunshine, and it looks that way right now. Now, that cool is going to slowly fade away. Nice and cozy here the next couple of days. Comfortable weather, low humidity into Tuesday, upper 60s, low 70s there Wednesday, Thursday, and right now towards Friday, may come close to 80 degrees. We'll have to see about that towards the end of the week. Now, the satellite radar composite shows why it's been so cool lately, thanks to high pressure just to the west. When you get on the west side, When high pressure is west of us, that flow in the upper atmosphere comes in out of the northwest, and that's been the case here through this weekend. So our next weather maker, that's going to come in from the west as well. Watch the clouds start to fill in. This is Monday night into Tuesday. There's some of the showers. Now, I don't think this is going to be a washout by any stretch of the imagination, but when you wake up Tuesday morning, likely the ground is wet, and then late Tuesday evening, another round of showers as a warm front moves in across the area. Right now, the rain amounts look fairly minimal with that less than 1/4 of an inch. But tonight we'll drop back to 43, partly cloudy. Another chilly night for us by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. I think it's going to become mostly sunny. 51 degrees, cool start. That northwest flow is still with us, so it is going to be below normal again tomorrow, but not 57. We're going to get into the upper 60s. A little comfortable there. 7-day forecast for us, and watch this. Still that slight chance of an isolated thunder shower into Wednesday. Temps in the low to mid 70s and even upper 70s towards the end of the week. And next weekend does look like it'll turn slightly cooler again, although not to the same extent as what we're seeing out there today. Temps in the low 70s, Ginny. Next Saturday and Sunday looks fairly comfortable.
Yeah, it sure does, Mark. Enjoying this weather.
Yeah.
Coming up next, chaos on a bridge. A truck driver speeding into a crowd of peaceful protesters. Tonight, protests are happening all over the country, and this was the scene in Minneapolis where it all began last week. A tanker truck today speeding toward a crowd of protesters marching on a bridge. It sent people running for safety. It does not appear anyone was injured as that truck came to a stop. The driver is now under arrest. Governor Cuomo's daily briefing this afternoon focused mostly on the death of George Floyd, that man in Minneapolis. The governor urging for protests to remain nonviolent.
Burning down your own house never works and never makes sense. Burning down your own struggling businesses, people who are trying to bring back the community, never makes sense. It dishonors Mr. Floyd's death. Mr. Floyd was not violent. Mr. Floyd was compliant.
Also today, the governor announcing that starting tomorrow, dentist's office in the state can reopen finally. The offices will be required to follow state guidance on practices for safety and social distancing. Up until now, dentists were limited to emergency services only. And we'll be right back with a final check of our forecast from meteorologist Mark McLean, telling us when things are going to get a little bit warmer around here. A city and county-wide curfew underway. People being told to stay off the streets, stay home until the morning hours. 13 WHAM's Dan Schrack now is live with an update from the road. Dan, what are you seeing and hearing? Anything new?
Ginny, I have to tell you, it's relatively quiet. We just got into High Falls. We are on State Street right now. But coming onto State off of Lake, it's very eerie out there because a lot of the businesses are boarded up from roof to ground. Some of those businesses presumptively have been looted last night. Others, maybe as precautionary measures, are boarding those buildings up right now. But not a lot of people out. 104 was virtually dead when we were on that. It's very quiet out here. It seems like people are taking that curfew seriously tonight.
And that's encouraging. You know, I think what you said about the boarding up is true in both cases. Business owners either boarded up because they were looted and broken into. Others really took preemptive measures today out of fear that tonight could in fact be as bad or worse.
You're absolutely right, and I really think that precautionary measure will pay off regardless of whether or not people are out and about.
Yes, thank you, Dan. And strong words tonight from the mayor and the sheriff telling people to stay indoors. We've got time for one more check of the weather with Mark.
Yeah, Jenny, a cool night. It's the last official night of May, and it's going to feel like the last night of April out there. Temps in the low 40s tonight, and we're going to rebound back into the upper 60s. Expect a good amount of sunshine here for Monday.
All right, thank you, Mark. Thank you for watching. We will be back coming up on Channel 13 at 11. We've got our crews staying in place and some moving throughout the city to bring us the very latest on what's happening in regards to the violence we saw last night. Have a good night.